guys, I'm Garrett Bryce. I know in the past I've mostly done guitar covers. Trying to move into some tutorials. I think I'm a pretty good teacher, so we'll see how that goes. See if you guys dig it or not dig it. See your guys' input. Love to hear some feedback. So, like I said, kickstarting some worship tutorials. I'm going to go ahead and start it off with some fundamentals. This is all opinion based, so bear that in mind. So, if you don't agree with me, I implore you to go and check out other videos and ask other, worship guitar players and worship leaders, because, like I said, it's just my opinion, so don't sue me. So briefly, I'm just going to run over, guitars, your gear, your amps, your effects, and everything like that, and then just playing within the context of, your church or worship team, what they're trying to go for as far as that context and setting. Personally, that's the part I struggle with the most, is kind of putting my pride and whatnot, aside and just playing within what the band is, because I'm playing in a bigger band now, and so there's a lot of things going on, so sometimes you just gotta shut up, not play. What? Yeah, so maybe seem arbitrary and a given, but you should probably get yourself a decent guitar. Well, Garrett, what is a decent guitar? Well, let me tell you, it's a great question. So I have 3 rules for getting a new guitar. First, it's gotta sound good. If it doesn't sound good, you could always, change the pickups or something like that, but honestly, I don't do a lot of surgery on my guitars, so I don't really know most of that stuff, so I'd like it to just sound awesome from the get-go. My personal opinion, maybe you're a guitar junkie and you like to mix and mingle all the electronics and stuff like that, and more power to you. It's got to feel good. That's the second point. Yes. It's got to feel good, the action, as far as, knobs and crap not getting in the way. Main reason I don't really play Strats is they have a volume knob right up at the top, and it really digs into my hand as far as where I kind of pivot from, especially when I play kind of aggressively. So that's, I've had a Strat before and I just removed that knob. And then, third point, if it looks cool, awesome. 3 points. Sound good, feel good, look good. So this one has a cool flame maple kind of top and maybe a little hint of a burst to it. It's got these cool dual Hot Wheel pickups, a Bigsby, some cool inlays and artwork and things like that. I didn't break the bank. This was made, if you check out reverb.com, check out a page called Thin the Herd. They've custom built a couple of guitars for me, mostly, single cuts. I'm a single cut guy. They custom made it for me, didn't break the bank. Awesome guitar, sounds awesome, plays awesome, looks awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so next I'm going to talk about amps and effects. Let me go ahead and flip the camera around. You're going to laugh at me, but I'm going to say, jokingly, that as far as amps and guitar goes, I like simplicity, but you're going to laugh because I have that whole mess. So this is a Fender Excelsior Pro. What's unique about this amp is it is a 15-inch speaker, which is, usually guitar amps are like 10 or 12 inches. And some of the back it's all tube. I don't know the wattage, so don't ask. So it just says, your guitar input, or if you have an accordion, that'd be kind of cool. Just has volume, bright and dark. I usually just use the dark, and then a tremolo, which I don't really use at all. That's basically it. Not much to talk about there. Like I said, if you don't have a good tone between your guitar and your amp, no amount of all this junk is going to fix that. So nail that down first. Alright, I'm going to quickly run through all this stuff before diving into my opinion and what I think is your fundamentals for worship. So I'm going to go straight into my Ricochet. Out of that in my tuner, out bypass so I can keep it on all the time. Into the noise suppressor. Send it through all my noisy pedals to the wall first, and then I have this synth modeler, tube screamer, rat clone, Whopper triple ret clone, conf volume back into noise suppressor, and I go out into my chorus, which I use as a boost. Explain that later. Delay and reverb. Now, what do I use on a Sunday? I obviously use my tuner. This is always on, so I don't really count it. I use my tube screamer, compression, volume. Use that for my boost. It just worked out that way when I plugged it in. Delay, and then this for my swirly stuff. These two for my swirly stuff. So if you were, let's say, just starting on, maybe you're a new guitar player, just building your pedal board, I would say 2 pedals you need to get right off the bat, or 2 or 3 pedals. Obviously, you need a tuner. Keep your guitar in tune. That's kind of important. You need a tube screamer. I would recommend, the TS9, TS808, or maybe a blues driver from Boss. That's about the only drive or distortion pedal I would recommend from Boss. But just something that's real transparent, nothing too hairy, and some kind of delay. So that TS9 was my first pedal I ever bought. This was the second mod tone analog delay. It's kind of like a cheaper version of an MXR carbon copy. And then bonus points, volume, compression's not important, in delay and maybe reverb. And I'll go ahead and talk about my settings with all these and explain how I use my stuff. So this last portion is basically just talking about context and setting, and that's really the area that I struggle with the most as far as my playing style goes, because a lot of times I'm just not thinking and it just happens, my hands just take over. But talk about my settings, you don't want anything that's going to be just too in the way. So, I'm not going to use, probably my Rat clone or the triple rec, just something that's just too... That's just way too noisy. But the, the TS9 is real, you got your clean tone. Real kind of fattened up tone, a little hair to it. The reason I like the TS9 is because, you can have that real fat, punchy tone for, your rhythm stuff, good leads. But it's also real responsive with your playing. If you pick real lightly, you can get some clean stuff out of it. So that's what I really like about that. And those really, as far as your worship goes, your 2 tones as far as gain, it's just going to be, straight up clean and overdrive. That's really it. And then, if you have a boost, I'd recommend not having a gain boost, just a clean boost. And the chorus is nice because I don't know how it happened the way it did, but it was just a real clean, crisp boost to it. And it kind of has a high-end boost as well, so there's not really a whole lot of volume boost to it. It's more just like it just cuts through real nice. That's why I really like that. So as far as my delay goes, I like TC Electronic, and I really like their Flashback X4. I have the Alter Ego. I like it because you can save 3 different settings with it. So I usually have the first one to a dotted eighth and a quarter, typical U2 sound. Usually, I'd say the feedback should dissipate within 4 to 7 repeats, so it's not just hanging on and it's getting in the way of all your chord changes and things like that, and it's gone. So the next one I have is my tape delay on a quarter note repeat, and this one's only got like 3 or 4 repeats, I think, and it's gone. So 3 repeats. Excuse me. This one I use for more my leads and solo, things like that. Reason I like the tape delay, this one's, I have it set for a copycat of a copycat. See what I did there? Copycat tape delay. Reason I like this one is because with the tape, by the second or third repeat, like the tone is just a massive tone cut. So it's just very much in the back of the scene of your playing. So it's not going to get in the way. You use this one for, lead playing, maybe something pretty classic. So he doesn't get in the way there. Last one I have set to like a real spacey And this is what it sounds like just with the delay. It's really just sushi. And I usually stack on top of that the Polaire with the halo. And now you can hear that kind of high shimmer to that. You can do some swelly stuff with that. That's pretty cool. You know, just play within context. Figure out, you know, what your worship team and your worship leader's going for as far as your sound and context and setting all those things. And don't be too flashy. Be doing dive bombs and tapping and get too flashy with your soloing and lead playing. Maybe keep your improvisation to a minimum. I know that's what the current band I'm in. And also learn how to shut up, like as far as your playing goes, not talking. Because, you know, if you're playing in a bigger band, a lot of things are going on. And as a lead player, just learn when to not play. You know, it's okay. You just, you know, run to Starbucks and, you know, order a pizza or something like that. Come back and be back, you know, play your lead line. Lastly, you know, just it's going to be about freeing up your playing. And it really just comes down to practice. You know, make sure you have your set. I'm going to recommend memorizing your set. Minimize your distractions. If you memorize your set, you won't have to worry about your sheet music and you're not going to be looking at it. My band, we practice with the sheet music on Thursdays, and then by Sunday it's off the stage. One, it eliminates clutter, but you know, two, it eliminates, you know, it eliminates distractions, but also, you know, you have it memorized, you know your parts, you know when to come in and all those things. And it really memorizing all your parts and everything like that and getting rid of all your sheet music, it really just frees up your playing so you can just play, you know, have fun. You've got your context down, you've got your settings and everything down. Try to eliminate how much thinking you're going to have to do. And that's really just going to free up how you play. So, like I said, you know, make sure your tone's good. Make sure your playing style doesn't get in the way of the style of your team. You know, just practice memorizing music and eliminate any distractions and things like that. And just have fun, you know what I mean? That's it. If you have any questions about maybe my pedal board or my gear or anything I said that maybe you don't agree with, or maybe you want some more information on, or also suggestions for some lessons for tutorials, songs that you want to know that I will teach you. That's all, folks. Your Bryce out.